So, good afternoon. Good afternoon. First of all, I wanted to thanks for the invitation to be here today. And it's very good for me to make this presentation in my own department. So I'm very happy. Thank you. And my name is Veronica, and I will talk about this topic, philosophical perspective of sympathy and empathy in counseling. So I'm from Brazil, and I will start explaining the difference between sympathy and empathy. The whole thing is, many people think sympathy and empathy are the same. They are often grouped together, but they are very different. So I will start with a presentation video that will show a little bit the difference between them, and it will help to break the ice. And empathy is a skill that can bring people together and make them feel included, while sympathy can lead to more isolation and disconnection. So this video I will show to you. It's about that. I hope you can listen. The sound is there? Let me try to put it here. Where is the sound going here? Is the sound? But where the sound goes out, but I can put it. I can pass it, no problem. You can see another moment. This video is very nice, and yeah, the sound is not there, so you cannot understand what he will say without the sound. But this video is very nice. I can say to you, you can also find it in YouTube. The name is Difference Between Empathy, Brené Brown on Empathy. Subtitles are not there. I didn't try it before, but okay. So I will just let it pass and try to explain what they are saying. They are showing that empathy and sympathy are different, and it will start with a person that sees someone in pain, suffering. So this person will just try to take that pain and understand it. Like that person with the pain is explaining the feeling, and that other person is paying attention very carefully and try to understand the feeling of that one in suffering. And when the person explains the suffering, this one goes down in a hole, and it's dark, and he is showing how he's feeling in that situation. So the other one just goes down to the same darkness and starts showing that he knows that pain. So the other one, this person just came and said, "Aha, okay, I can see you are there suffering. Do you want a sandwich?" And the other person feel, the empathetic one, how can I show to that person that I'm really understanding that feeling? So he has the same feeling. He shows how is that for him. So he puts himself in a vulnerable position. And the other one just come and try to make things less painful, saying that it's not so bad. At least you did something. Like, for example, this person will say, my son is not going well in the school. And this one will say, at least your daughter is well. And the other one will say, my marriage life is not good. And the sympathetic one, you say, at least you have a husband. and just go. There is no connection. The sympathetic one will only say, okay, I know you have a pain, but it's not that much important. This one, the empathetic one, you really show the vulnerability and connect truly with the person. So if you have the opportunity to just watch it with sound, that will make things easier to understand. So to begin, I wanted just to show you how different is sympathy and empathy. Because in the beginning we think it's something like almost same, but it's not. Because when you talk about sympathy, you are only showing that, okay, that person is the other, and that pain is there, it's not here. And when you go to empathy, when you talk about empathy, you go more to connect with that person and show that person that you can feel that pain. So the concept is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It means feeling with someone. You need to put yourself in the position of that person to really and truly connect with what that person is feeling. So the main concept is about feeling, but we will see that there are different types of empathy, and we will just differentiate them, that we understand that it's not only about feeling. There are different types. So the 5 types of empathy, these 5, they are not completely accepted, but the first 3 we can accept fully. But the other 2, there are people that accept, other people don't accept. The first one is the cognitive empathy. It's more about the rational, the logical process of empathy. It's more about, okay, I understand what you are passing. It's a completely connected with the mind, and it can be used not in a good way necessarily, because there is an example that shows that people to torture others, they need to understand the pain, so they can go exactly the place that pain is in that person. So not necessarily cognitive empathy must be something good. It can be used as something not so good to that person, to just use that capacity. That is the second type of empathy. That is the emotional empathy. That is about feeling. This one is more about feeling. So you feel the other person's emotion as if you had caught the emotion. So it's more about what that person is feeling, not necessarily what that person is thinking. So it's more about you connect with the feeling itself. But it's not fully what empathy is yet, because sometimes emotional empathy overwhelms people. Because when you are too much involved, as she was presenting now, and saying some perspectives about that, if you are too much involved, you cannot really help someone. Because you identify yourself with that emotion, with that feeling. So you cannot come with any possible solution and any possible help to that person. The third one is what is truly empathy. That is compassionate empathy. That is not only feeling or understanding the person's pain, but also taking some action to help. So it's not only connected with the mind, with the mental process and rational process, not only connected with the feeling and the emotion, but also connected with action. So you understand, you feel, and you do something. So this is a more active one. So you will help somehow the person. And that's the one that we can make an analogy to our counseling process that we go after. But let's see the other 2. So the fourth one that some people accept, other people know, is the somatic empathy. That is more about the person have that ability, capacity, or possibility to really feel the pain of others. For example, if you pass through an accident, people with that somatic empathy can really feel the pain of that person that had that accident. So sometimes it's something very hard and something very difficult. So sometimes that person prefers don't involve himself or herself with that situation because it causes pain in that person too. And the spiritual empathy is the more developed one. That is a direct connection with a higher being or consciousness. So it's the understanding of one, the connection, the truly connection with everybody. It's not only one person because you like that person, because you love that person, or because that person is from your family. No, it's the connection with the whole. So it's the connection with all the beings of this world. So when we talk about spiritual empathy, we can exemplify with the masters enlightened. So that enlightened masters, they have that full connection with the whole beings, not only human beings, but the whole in the universe. So using that types, we can go for the application of that in philosophical counseling. So I wanted to say that I used as a reference a book of our HOD that she talks a lot about philosophical counseling. So I will not analyze different types of philosophers. I'm just giving you a general idea about philosophical counseling and connecting that as a capacity of a counseling, a quality of a counseling that person can develop and help others in a philosophical perspective. So, according to Dr. Bina Isaac in that book, Philosophical Counseling for Beginners, the application of philosophical methods and principles helps humans to understand themselves, the world, and life itself. Basically, philosophy is a study of analyzing and understanding the ultimate realities of life and humans in the resolution of problems being experienced in the course of living. She will talk about 3 different approaches of philosophers to help others. The first one is, there is no single right answer to philosophical question worth asking. The second one, there are many possible interpretations of the same experience, philosophical concepts and ideas. And the third one, any philosophy is worthless if it's not personalized and made relevant to everyday life. So, why I want to connect that 3 types of approach with our topic that is more connected with empathy. Because in the beginning I differentiate empathy and sympathy, just to show that as a quality to a counselor, empathy is much more necessary than just a sympathy. Because in sympathy you don't connect really with people. So in that sense, in that approach, we must understand that there is no only one truth in that perspective. When you are in a counselor position, you need to look to the truth of that individual, of that client, of that person. And in that direction, you can offer different perspectives, not impose only one truth, only one reality. Because if you do that, you will put that person in a position of acceptance and not really to look for the answer inside that own person. So how to become more empathetic in counseling? I was saying here, as a counselor, in a position of a counselor, but I think it's much more important that we look that as human beings. Okay, we are now here in that workshop, that seminar, looking in a counseling position as a professional thing, as a person that will work with others. But I'm completely sure that everybody here was in some moment of life a counselor. Because you have parents, you have friends, you have people that just come and talk with you about their problems sometimes. And if you don't have the ability to connect with that person, you cannot really help. You just listen, like don't give any importance, and you just don't help that person. But if you develop that ability, that possibility, that become more empathetic, You can help people. Even if you are in a train, in a bus, sometimes people just start talking with you and that person is with so much pain. And that person maybe don't have anyone to talk. And you are the person that is nearby, and why not to help? So my presentation is not only as a professional thing, but as a human ability to share the feeling of others and also help others, putting yourself in a compassionate position of empathy. And how to do that? So even if, okay, Veronica, why you are saying that? I will not become a counselor. Maybe it will not be necessary in my life. But there are possibilities out of that. So how to develop it? How to help people in that sense, in that direction? First way, that is something that looks easy, but I think is difficult, as the most strong one here, is active listening skills. And what's that? Okay, maybe you tell me that, okay, I can listen. I listen people talking all the time. I'm always listening people. But did you question yourself if you are really listening? Because to listen is not only the words come here and go out of here. No. First of all, communication is not only words. There is information here that communication is 80% non-verbal. So if you only pay attention in words, you are only paying attention in 20%. So if you want to really pay attention what someone is saying, you need to go beyond the words. You need to read the body language, the tone of voice, the mannerism. You can go much more deep than only the words. So how to do that? How to become a better listener? There are 3 things that can help. The first one is pay attention. And what is pay attention? Maybe you are looking, now for example, maybe you are looking to me and thinking, okay, after here I need to go to the supermarket, I need to buy the soap that is not in my home, and my son is not well, or maybe I had a problem with my wife before coming here, so many thoughts are inside our mind. And okay, it's fine, we are not saying, you cannot think. It's not about that. But when you are truly listening to someone, you need to give your attention to that situation, to that moment, and it's called presence. So there are, for example, very amazing teaching that India is. I came to know about that because I started studying yoga. That is about meditation. Then it's the concept of living the present moment and be here now, not another place. So okay, after the presentation finish, you go and do what you need to do. But now it's important you pay attention about that. Same with counseling. If you are in front of a client and that client is explaining the pain and explaining the problem, and you are thinking about another thing, there is no possibility of real connection. The second one is don't interrupt. Because of course our mind works very fast. And sometimes that person is saying something and you are thinking the solution that you want to give to that person. But as a counselor, you don't need to give solution. That's not the way. You need to try your best to help the person to find their own solution. So it's not to give the answer, it's know how to do good questions. And the third one is don't be distracted. These 3 are very connected between them. So to develop an active listening skills, you can do it, practice it in your normal life. Because as she said here, any philosophy is worthless if it's not personalized and made relevant to everyday life. So it's something far away from you, there is no use for that. So it's necessary to put that in our real life, and we can develop that. It's possible. And another way is see things from others' point of view. This is the whole concept of empathy. And how can you do that? You can ask yourself, you can make questions to yourself. How? Putting yourself in the shoes of the other and ask, how would you feel in a similar situation? What would you do? What would you want or expect from others? And what you do not want? And maybe your answers will be different of that other person. But the whole thing is, you are starting to really connect with that person when you try to find, as individual, that you have your own situations to work on too. Not something that only that other person have. Not something outside. That is the connection between that two people, that two or more people. And the third one is to form a personal bond with people and communicate in order to find a solution together. So, I normally talk about that. Sometimes we want to help people, but we offer our solution to that person. And we sometimes don't think what that person needs. And the whole thing about empathy is to identify what that person needs and help in that direction, not what we want. It's about what that person needs. And if we can help that person to understand their own needs, will be good, because sometimes even we don't understand what we need. We don't know what we need. So as a counselor, it's an ability that we can develop is to show that person, help that person to find and understand their own needs. And to conclude, again, from this book, from Dr. Bina, empathy make one very close to the client. So the counselor come very close to the client. The benefit of this is that the counselor, because of their openness to the client's experience, has the ability to see the world both from the perspective of the client and from their own perspective, and to find a way to share this with the client. So with this image, we can understand that is you, that is me, that your problem, my problem. When we are working that duality, there is no common sense. We are not working together. We are working separately, different. When we understand that if we really connect, there is a we that makes us together, we are really working in what means empathy. And to finish, I want to give that sentence from Dr. Brené Brown, that is the one who did that video that I truly recommend you to watch after, that the explanation is very good. And she says, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection. So it's much more than just give any answer. It's really connect with people. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Yeah, she presented, beautifully presented her on philosophical perspective of sympathy and empathy in philosophical counseling or any type of counseling. She here starts with what is sympathy and what is empathy. And she beautifully differentiates sympathy with empathy with the help of a beautiful video. And here she tried to present what is the role of empathy. How can we use it as a tool for philosophical counseling, or how can we become more empathetic in a counseling session? So, space is open for discussion.
Anybody empathetic?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amin. I'm a research scholar in the Department of Linguistics. Well, first of all, we would like to thank the presenter for the beautiful presentation, and also we should thank God that the audio doesn't work, the sound was not working, so you explained in a very fantastic, manner. Usually we look at the terms from linguistic point of view, but we were confusing. So after today, I will never confuse empathy with sympathy. And I think that the Malayalam language affected your pronunciation in terms of the th sound, because they don't have that and that in Malayalam, so you just pronounce it empathy and sympathy. So it is not a problem. The whole discussion was about these two terms, and it was interestingly presented, especially the last terminology, empathy, and neglecting the sympathy in the rest of the conversation doesn't mean that we shouldn't consider sympathy in our counseling and stick to empathy. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica, for your fantastic presentation. I have one doubt. What is the difference between philosophical counseling and psychotherapy, psychological counseling, and do we use same methods? How can we differentiate this both type of counseling? Psychotherapists also use this kind of sympathy and techniques. So how can we
thank you, Veronica, for your brilliant presentation. My question is, one of the main norm of philosophical counsel or any counsel is that the counselor should be detached from the problem of client or the client. Sympathy or empathy is, in one sense, is kind of attachment. Then how can we use it in our philosophy?
Your presentation is very good, and it's a dynamic and thought-out. I think that it is interesting in your presentation is that live in the moment, because we are forget that live in the moment is busy schedule and goal. Okay. And your paper addresses the different dimension of the philosophical perspective of sympathy and empathy. I have a question about how somatic empathy works that you mentioned here.
So I'll try to remember all the questions, but if I have some doubt, I will ask you again. First, thank you, my dear friend Amin, for coming. Yes, and because in the beginning I started differentiating both of them, sympathy and empathy, don't mean that we need to just forget about empathy. About sympathy, but empathy is more complex. So that's why I gave more time to empathy to just explain the different ways. And at the same time, sympathy, if you don't use it in a proper way, it can be something bad in the sense of that you don't really include person, you exclude. Because you put your perspective in the difference, not in the union. So in that direction, I can go to the second question, that is to, I will go to the third question first, that I will have that connection, okay? So the whole thing, as I see the challenge of using empathy in counseling is about that non-identification. Because the whole point of empathy is connect with people and understand and feel the other people pain and try to help somehow. But you need to have that detachment, that non-identification needs to be there. So the balance between the feeling of other people and put yourself in that position of an observer, as meditation teaches, to analyze, to understand, to be in that moment, to realize things, but not to identify with things. So in that sense, in that direction, we can use that as a tool, that we can really put ourselves in that position so we can understand better and can try to find better solutions to that situation, but somehow being detached, being in your own place. It's not about you. For example, I can give you one example that is very interesting. It's my example of my life. I had a tumor in my spine. I think most of you know about that. And at that moment, I had a boyfriend. That when I came to know about that tumor in my spine, I called him and said, I have a tumor in my spine. And he started crying for 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I was the one trying to say to him, everything will be fine, everything will be okay. So imagine if you go to a psychologist or philosophical counseling or anything, even your friend, and you just say your problem, and that friend starts crying. There is no possibility of help in that situation. So it's necessary you understand, it's necessary you feel, but it's not necessary you just put yourself in a so vulnerable position that you cannot help that person. So this is only an example of my life that we can put in other ways too. So okay, the balance is needed. So it's necessary. And about the question differentiating psychological and philosophical counseling. The whole thing that the quality of empathy is for all counseling. It's not only for psychological, not only for philosophical. But when we go for a philosophical perspective, we need to understand that it's not about the individual. It's not only about that individual. We need to understand that it's bigger than that. So we can use the philosophical perspective to understand as a society. Because, for example, maybe that pain is not the pain that comes only with that person. It comes with the whole collectivity. So in a philosophical perspective, in a way, you can go beyond. You don't need to be attached with the experience of that person alone. Not only that person. You can go more, and you can help that person to see that there are different philosophical ways to see that and maybe connect with these different solutions. So because we are studying philosophical perspectives, we come to know the ways different philosophers think about different problems. So we can use that perspective to help that person, because sometimes the way to look to the problem of that person is a small part of the whole situation. And if you keep only in a psychological, of course, I'm sure the psychologists can show it bigger too. But because of the philosophical studies, it gives us more tools to offer that person different ways to see that problem and try to find different solutions. So in my perspective, what I see, because maybe other people will think it different, but in my perspective, we open more possibilities when we go for a philosophical counseling, more than go specifically of what that person think or feel. So if my teachers want to add something, it's okay, just give my point about that. And to finish the last question about somatic empathy, that is something, it's only for me that is so hot, it's because I'm talking. But I think it's very interesting for us to understand how empathy works, to begin that exploration in a biological perspective. So the empathy is the first thing that comes and you can observe in any kid. So when there is a kid, he or she with the mother, like if the mother starts smiling, the chance of the kid repeat that action is very big. So it's the connection that kid have with that person that is there with him or her. That reaction make that connection. And here in India, for example, we can see a very good example of something that we can call empathy in a practical way. That is, someone starts a conversation doing that, the other person will do again. Like, so if you are outside looking, both of them will be like that. And it's super nice, because it's something that that person is really interacting with you. The other example is when you are sleeping. Naturally, if someone is there, it's a reaction. It's a natural reaction. So it's a capacity that make empathetic people, that is more kind of normal people. We can look for some diseases that make some people not able to use that capacity, because there are some problems that make people not able, some diseases that make people not able to have the empathy. So they will do it copying. It's different. Because empathy is something that you do naturally. You don't think someone is doing, okay, I will do it too. No, it's natural. It's a reaction. It's a connection. So the somatic empathy I see as an extreme of that capacity that not necessarily make things good or easy. Because imagine everyone you meet in your life for sure has some kind of problem or pain. If you are able to feel that pain in your body, sometimes it will be difficult to deal with different people, because you can become overwhelmed with that. So what happens? Normally people find ways to protect it and to block it. But if that person has a somatic empathy, there is no choice. It's something that happens biologically. So it's more like a medical thing than a psychological thing than necessarily a choice. So it's an extreme of the capacity of empathy. Did I answer your questions? And I think is that? Okay. I just need to say something. The first time I did a presentation about empathy, it was expected to be like 15 minutes. I talked during 1 hour. My friends wanted to go home and I was talking. So it means no empathy from my side.
No, somatic empathy is not there.
So,
We are all.
So, just want to thank you so much, and if you have any other question or if you want more information about that, we can discuss later. Thank you so much.